Hello and welcome to this short video about hypnotism. Now, as a hypnotherapist, I will try to explain how hypnotism works in as simple language as that I can try and get across as possible. I mean, I'm very much the type of person that likes to simplify psychology into, I don't like using the word layman's terms, but a simplistic language that people in general can understand. So I'm going to try and explain how hypnotism works in a very simplistic way. So let's just very simply, I'm going to draw, my drawing of a brain. Okay, so let's just say this is someone's brain. Now, basically, if we say that is someone's brain, okay, there's kind of two parts to a person's brain. There's the conscious and then there's the subconscious level. Now, in between, I'm just going to use this as a graphic representation. So let's just say we have the unconscious. Let's just say we tend to think of the conscious being at the front and the subconscious at the back. When anyone ever seems to talk about the subconscious, they always point to the back of their head as if, it's at the back of the room, as it were. So we're going to call this the subconscious, and this is the conscious. Okay? Now, we receive things, if I just draw this as, as an eye here, and, then we got a little mouth. Okay. Please ignore my drawings. So the way what a hypnotherapist is actually doing is putting someone in a state, okay, a state of consciousness or a state of being that allows the psychologist to directly talk to the subconscious, because the subconscious stores everything. It has got absolutely everything we've ever heard, seen, smelt, tasted, experienced, memory. Everything is stored in the subconscious. You see, I'm pointing to the back of my head. So everything is stored in the subconscious. So behavior patterns, values, all of those things about, you as a human being is stored in the subconscious. Your subconscious knows an awful lot of stuff, a huge amount of stuff. The conscious is really only concerned with, potentially what happens in the future and what is happening right now, and kind of short-term memory. Okay, I don't know whether there's a definition of what the short-term memory is, and it's probably different for everyone. So the red line basically is what I like to call as a gatekeeper. Okay, the gatekeeper is the process that allows information coming into our brain to go into the subconscious. So the subconscious is like a huge filing system of everything. So when we experience things, or when we experience something bad, we will kind of wrap that up, and it goes into the gatekeeper, who then will commit that to the subconscious, and that in itself is like a little tiny system, so that we know the next time when something is bad. Let's just say, for instance, we put our hand on something hot. Okay, now there's an awful lot more things going on here, but in simplistic terms, messages get sent to the conscious brain saying, ouch, that's really hot, it's burning my fingers, blah, 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 blah. The gatekeeper then files that response and that experience into the subconscious, so that it knows that the next time you go into something, and this all happens within microseconds, millionths of a second. The next time we go near an object that we recognize as being hot, or the color of something, typically red or orange, or something that is, really, really hot, the gatekeeper then goes, well, actually, I know what that is. Boom, here you go, throws it into the conscious mind, and we pull our hands away, potentially before we burn ourselves again, unless of course the subconscious data store hasn't actually got a record of a particular thing being hot. You know, we might look at an item like this and think, well, that I don't have any recollection of anything. You know, I think this is made of wood and it's probably quite light. I go and pick it up and all of a sudden it's hot. You know, that then message will go past the gatekeeper and get stored into the subconscious. And I can't spell today for some reason. Okay. So that's typically what tends to happen to our responses. What a hypnotherapist is doing is usually visually, okay, but, you know, by using, you know, an object or you know, something for the person to actually look at, and you know, and to get to a point where the person is kind of relaxed. I mean, it's a relaxed trance state that the hypnotherapist is trying to get you through. Now, the reason for that is because once the conscious is in a state where it is relaxed, it then tells the gatekeeper that it's in this state and that it's relaxed. And that can take different times for different people. It can, you know, take seconds for some people and it can take half an hour for others. I mean, it kind of all depends. It's just so variable. What the hypnotherapist is trying to do is to placate the gatekeeper so that we can talk directly into the subconscious. Okay, so it's almost like the person that's in a trance or a hypnotized state is, you know, with trust and congruity and all of those other things, is allowing the hypnotherapist to go talk straight to the subconscious. Now, this is actually where it's quite powerful, because the gatekeeper will still not allow information through or commands to go through that are not congruent with you as a person. So this whole, this whole thing about people being told to do things that they don't want to do is complete bunkum, really. It's just not on. It doesn't happen, because the gatekeeper will kick in and say, well, actually, you know, you as a person I'm not going to allow you to do that, you know. And so, you know, there's a sort of misunderstanding a lot of the time that being hypnotized, you've become completely open to the hypnotherapist or to anyone else around, you know, and that you will be able, you know, that they can tell you to do things that you know don't really want to do. That is just not true. That is just not really true. So a good hypnotherapist is actually trying to communicate directly with the subconscious. Now, why would we want to do that? You know, because what tends to happen is that in the subconscious there are responses and behavior patterns and triggers and things. It's like a massive filing system of rules and regulations and you know, things, references to things that sometimes, you know, in the majority of cases works well for for a person, and then in other cases doesn't work so well. So for instance, if somebody is you know, a smoker, for instance, you know, after obviously some consultation, what if as long as the person is willing to give up smoking, then they will allow the hypnotherapist to go into their subconscious with their permission, if you like, to go through, find the file that contains the bit about smoking and the behavior patterns and everything, you know, the root causes and what needs to be changed, or what the person actually really wants to happen instead of smoking, you know, to go on in here. And of course this, you know, bad memories, bad triggers, vicious cycles, and all of those things can be, you know, like for instance, somebody may not be able to relax. Somebody may feel, you know, tense all the time, or they, you know, there's just a myriad of things that can be reprogrammed, as they were, you know. The files can be rewritten. information can be taken from those files to understand the cause of something, and at the same time there could be a whole change process being allowed to happen, because the person is allowing the hypnotherapist to go in and kind of reprogram and reaffirm to the client, using their subconscious, but keeping the gatekeeper happy at the end of the day. And this can sometimes be the tricky thing with hypnotherapy, is, if the gatekeeper is not placated enough on the initial induction and the deepening level, this is just not going to happen. And that's what happens sometimes. A person's gatekeeper can actually be really, really strong, and doesn't really, or is very, very difficult to allow the hypnotherapist to go to the subconscious and talk directly to the subconscious, and then change embedded commands, change behavior and response patterns and such like. So that's kind of hypnotherapy in a really small nutshell. I hope it's explained it simply enough, and kind of dispels the bad things that kind of go around hypnotherapy, really, because hypnotherapy, people can do it themselves. I mean, that's the key thing. You can get yourself to your own state of trance, of hypnosis, that you can then ask your conscious mind to bypass, if you like, the placated gatekeeper and into the subconscious, to rewrite those things yourself. And that's what self-hypnosis is about. And again, you're almost going through the same process, to do the same thing. This is really what's happening, is you're rewriting the filing system here that says, this is the way things are, and this is the way I've always done it, and this is the way I've always behaved, and this is the way the way things I've always done. And if somebody is having difficulties with something in their life that is not serving them the way they really want it to, hypnotherapy is a really, really good way of going in and allowing the hypnotherapist or yourself to go in and reprogram what it is you want to change. That's what really it's about. So anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video and it's been informative for you, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video.